Hello everyone, and welcome to the last week of short videos on the immense and significant theme of revival. And as it is the last week of these short videos, I want us to move beyond inspiration. Over the last 5 weeks, we've been looking at different revivals that have taken place around the world, particularly in the last 300 years. We looked at the 1859 revival here in Ulster. Reuben shared with us about the revival that took place in the Hebrides, in New York City, and in South Africa. Then we moved on to Korea, China, South America, Africa, and we just could have kept going. Our God is a God who chooses in his sovereign time and purposes to move in remarkable ways. But we want to move beyond simply being inspired. We want to move beyond simply being stirred by these stories in the past. And we want to think about our today, about East Belfast, about Belfast itself, about Ireland, about the United Kingdom, about Europe, and become people who are actively contending for a move of God in our day. And so a theme that I want us to be taking away from these short videos during this season of Lent is the whole idea that we would have a holy imagination of what God can do in our today, that we would have a fired imagination, an imagination that is on fire with what God can do in our day. Is that something that we could spend a few minutes thinking about today? I remember sitting in a car park in Connor and Kells 5 weeks ago and reflecting upon the 1859 revival. And those 4 young men, James McCulkin, John Wallace, Robert Carlyle, and Jeremiah Manili, who found themselves stirred by the stories that had come from the Great Awakening in the United States. They had heard what God was doing there, and they asked themselves the question, why not here, Lord? You see, their imagination was fired with the possibility that God could do in Ulster what he was doing in the United States. In 1907, Korean missionaries did exactly the same thing. News had reached them of what God was doing in the Great Revival, 1904 revival in Wales. And they began to ask that very, very same question, why not here, Lord? And it moved them to contend for a great move of God in and along the Korean Peninsula. Mark chapter 9, verse 24. Jesus has been has experienced the Great Transfiguration. He's come down with his 3 disciples. He finds the remaining disciples trying to deliver a young boy from a demon and failing. And the father of the son falls at Jesus' feet and he says, if you can, would you heal my son? If you can. And Jesus picks up on that, if you can. And he replies, everything is possible to those who believe. And the father replies with a deeply, deeply human response, I believe, help me in my unbelief. And as we think about revival in our day, maybe that is what we need to cry out to the Lord. Lord, I believe. I've seen you do it in the past. I long for you to do it here. I believe. Would you help me in my unbelief? Lord, give me a gift of faith that I might contend for a move in my day. Is that something that you would pray today? Lord, I believe. Help me in my unbelief. See you tomorrow.